something. There comes a season in every life when your greatest victory is not speaking louder, proving yourself harder, or explaining your every move. It is learning the sacred discipline of silence. Not every battle deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your response. There are moments when the world grows noisy simply because it fears what you are becoming in quiet. If you have been feeling the urge to withdraw, to work in secret, to protect your peace instead of defending your image, perhaps this is not weakness at all. Perhaps it is wisdom finally taking root. Today we will uncover why focusing on yourself and staying silent may be the very decision that changes the direction of your life forever. Every meaningful transformation begins with subtraction before it begins with addition. We often imagine growth as gaining more recognition, more opportunities, more applause, more influence. Yet life repeatedly teaches a different lesson. Before you receive anything lasting, you are asked to release what has been draining your strength. You must release the addiction to approval. You must release the need to answer every accusation. You must release the habit of announcing your plans before they have become reality. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is preparation. The strongest tree does not spend its days convincing the forest that it will grow taller. It simply sends its roots deeper into the unseen earth. While everyone admires the branches, the real work happens underground. In the same way, your greatest victories will be built in places where no applause exists. Character develops where no audience is watching. Discipline grows where no one is counting your efforts. Excellence is born in moments that will never become headlines. Too many people lose their future because they become addicted to broadcasting their present. They mistake attention for achievement. They confuse visibility with value. But attention can disappear overnight, while true character continues producing fruit long after the crowd has moved on. When you focus on yourself, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. Comparison slowly loses its grip. Jealousy finds no place to live. The victories of others no longer threaten you because you become fully occupied with building your own foundation. Every distraction asks for a small piece of your life. One unnecessary argument steals an hour. One emotional reaction steals a day. One unhealthy relationship steals a year. Imagine how much of your destiny has been consumed by responding to people who never intended to understand you. There is enormous power in refusing to explain yourself. Not because you have something to hide, but because truth eventually speaks louder than explanations ever could. A life well lived becomes its own defense. Consistent actions eventually silence accusations that endless words never could. Observe those who accomplish extraordinary things. They often spend more time listening than speaking. They study patterns others ignore. They notice motives hidden beneath conversations. They conserve emotional energy while others waste theirs reacting to every opinion. Their silence is not passivity, it is strategy. The world often mistakes quiet people for weak people. That misunderstanding has become the advantage of many wise individuals throughout history. Those who underestimate you usually stop paying attention at the exact moment you begin making your greatest progress. Guard your plans. Not every dream belongs in every conversation. A seed exposed too early to harsh conditions may never become a tree. Likewise, a vision shared with people who cannot understand it may become burdened by unnecessary doubt. Some ambitions grow best in privacy. Let your work mature before inviting the opinions of those who have never carried your responsibility. Focus is expensive because it demands sacrifice. Every meaningful goal requires saying no to countless distractions disguised as opportunities. You cannot master your craft while constantly managing everyone's expectations. You cannot build inner peace while feeding every conflict that knocks on your door. You cannot become exceptional if your attention belongs to everyone except yourself. Silence also teaches emotional mastery. When someone insults you, silence asks whether the insult deserves ownership. When someone provokes you, silence creates space between emotion and action. Within that space lives wisdom. Most regrets are born because emotions were allowed to become decisions. Most victories are born because patience refused to surrender to impulse. There will always be people who misunderstand your quiet season. Some will call you distant. Others will assume you have become arrogant. A few may even invent stories to explain your absence. Let them. Every minute spent correcting false narratives is a minute stolen from building a true future. Your responsibility is not controlling every opinion. Your responsibility is controlling your own growth. Every sunrise offers the same invitation. Become slightly stronger than yesterday. Read one more chapter. Learn one more lesson, practice one more skill, forgive one more disappointment, strengthen one more habit. These small victories accumulate quietly until one day people call your success overnight. Never realizing they are witnessing years of invisible consistency. Protect your peace with the same seriousness that you protect your ambitions. Peace is not laziness. Peace is the environment where wisdom grows. A restless mind cannot make clear decisions. A distracted heart cannot recognize meaningful opportunities. A noisy life rarely produces deep thinking. Remember that silence is not the absence of confidence. It is confidence that no longer depends upon constant validation. It is the calm certainty that your work will eventually introduce you better than your words ever could. So continue building, continue learning, continue improving, continue healing. Allow your discipline to become your loudest announcement. Let your integrity become your reputation. Let your consistency become your signature. The world may celebrate noise for a moment, but history remembers those who mastered themselves before attempting to influence anyone else. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Let your transformation become so undeniable that explanations become unnecessary, and let every quiet day become another unseen stone laid into the foundation of a life that no temporary storm can shake. Silence has often been misunderstood because the world rewards those who speak first, react fastest, and make the most noise. Many people believe that strength is measured by how forcefully someone argues, how confidently they defend themselves, or how often they remind others of their abilities. Yet there is another kind of strength that cannot be measured by volume. It exists beneath the surface, hidden from applause and untouched by public opinion. It is the strength of a person who has learned to govern themselves before attempting to influence anyone else. This kind of strength does not need witnesses. It does not ask for recognition. It quietly shapes every decision, every response, and every step forward. The moment you begin to value silence, you also begin to value your energy. Every unnecessary argument demands something from you. Every attempt to prove your worth consumes emotional resources that could have been invested in your own growth. Every explanation offered to people determined to misunderstand you becomes another weight carried on your shoulders. Life becomes lighter when you realize that not every accusation deserves a defense, and not every opinion deserves a response. Some conversations are designed only to keep you distracted, while your purpose is asking you to move in another direction. Silence is not the absence of courage. In many situations, it requires more courage than speaking. Anyone can react in the heat of the moment. Anyone can allow anger to become words, frustration to become actions. It takes remarkable discipline to pause when emotions demand movement. Within that pause, wisdom begins to appear. You gain the opportunity to ask yourself whether this conflict deserves your attention or whether your future deserves it more. That single question has the power to change the direction of your life. Many people lose opportunities because they become prisoners of immediate reactions. A careless sentence spoken in anger can damage a relationship built over years. An impulsive decision made in frustration can close doors that patience would have kept open. Silence protects you from becoming your own greatest obstacle. It gives your emotions time to settle so your judgment can rise above temporary feelings. Emotional storms eventually pass, but the consequences of uncontrolled words often remain long after the emotions have disappeared. There is something deeply powerful about becoming difficult to provoke. When others realize they cannot control your emotions, something. They also lose the ability to control your decisions. A person who reacts to everything is easily manipulated because their behavior depends upon external circumstances. Something. A person who remains calm chooses their actions instead of surrendering them to the actions of others. That quiet self-control becomes an invisible shield that protects peace, clarity, and direction. Silence also creates space for observation. Something. While others are occupied speaking, you begin noticing patterns they overlook. You recognize intentions hidden beneath words. You see the difference between sincere encouragement and subtle manipulation. Something. You learn that people often reveal themselves through consistency rather than conversation. The more carefully you observe, the less likely you are to place your trust where it does not belong. Wisdom grows in those who pay attention before they respond. Something. Many individuals mistake constant activity for meaningful progress. They announce every goal, discuss every plan, and seek approval before taking action. Yet plans exposed too early often become weakened by unnecessary opinions. Every dream begins as something fragile. Something. Like a seed beneath the soil, it requires protection before it can withstand the weather above ground. Silence becomes the shelter where your vision develops roots strong enough to support future success. Something. There is great freedom in no longer feeling responsible for managing everyone's perception of you. People will misunderstand your intentions regardless of how carefully you explain them. Something. Some will criticize your choices because they cannot imagine making them themselves. Others will question your path simply because it differs from their own. Trying to satisfy every expectation leaves little energy for becoming the person you were created to become. Something. Peace begins the moment you accept that your responsibility is your character, not your reputation. Quiet confidence differs greatly from insecurity pretending to be confidence. Insecurity constantly seeks reassurance. It depends upon compliments, recognition, and public validation. Quiet confidence rests upon preparation. It knows the hours invested in learning, practicing, and improving. It does not panic when applause disappears because its foundation was never built upon applause in the first place. The strongest individuals often appear ordinary because they have nothing to prove and everything to protect. Every season of silence teaches lessons that noise cannot provide. Solitude forces you to confront your own thoughts without distraction. You discover fears that have quietly shaped your choices. You recognize habits that have delayed your growth. You begin separating your authentic desires from expectations placed upon you by society. These discoveries are uncomfortable. Yet they become the beginning of genuine transformation because lasting change always starts with honest self-examination. The world frequently celebrates those who attract attention, but attention alone cannot sustain a meaningful life. A person may become widely known while remaining deeply unfulfilled. Another may live quietly, investing daily in wisdom, discipline, and integrity, eventually building a legacy that outlives temporary popularity. Lasting influence is rarely created through constant visibility. It is created through consistent character developed over countless unseen moments. Silence strengthens patience, and patience strengthens judgment. You stop chasing immediate rewards because you begin seeing the value of long-term results. Every disciplined decision becomes another brick in the foundation of your future. Every restrained response becomes evidence that your emotions no longer control your destiny. Every quiet hour invested in learning, healing, or improving becomes part of an invisible structure that others will eventually admire without ever realizing how carefully it was built. When silence becomes your companion instead of your enemy, your mind grows clearer, your heart becomes steadier, and your purpose gains sharper direction. You discover that strength has never depended on speaking louder than everyone else. Real strength has always belonged to the person who can remain composed when chaos invites panic, who can remain patient when pressure demands haste, who can continue growing without announcing every step, who understands that the deepest roots are formed in places where no one is watching, where discipline quietly becomes identity, where wisdom patiently shapes every choice, where peace replaces the need to prove yourself, and where your life gradually becomes undeniable through the quiet power of consistent character when you focus on yourself. something. You begin noticing how much of your emotional exhaustion comes from trying to manage other people's perceptions. You worry about being understood. You worry about being accepted. You worry about whether others approve of your choices. Over time, something. These concerns become chains that restrict your freedom. You start making decisions based on how they will be received rather than whether they are right for your growth. A focused person learns to ask a different question. Will this move me closer to the life I am trying to build? That question simplifies many complicated decisions. Distraction rarely arrives looking dangerous. It often arrives looking entertaining, urgent, or important. A meaningless argument, a comparison on social media, an unnecessary rivalry, a desire to prove someone wrong. Each one takes a small portion of your attention. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess because whatever receives your attention eventually shapes your future. If your attention is constantly scattered, your progress will be scattered as well. Focusing on yourself requires protecting your attention with the same seriousness that you would protect something precious. There are seasons when growth requires distance. Not because you dislike people, but because you need space to hear your own thoughts clearly. Constant noise makes self-discovery difficult. Solitude allows you to examine your goals, your habits, your weaknesses, and your desires without interruption. Many people fear being alone because silence forces them to confront themselves. Yet that confrontation is often the beginning of transformation. You cannot improve what you refuse to examine. Another reason focusing on yourself is so powerful is that it breaks the cycle of resentment. When you are consumed by what others have, bitterness grows easily. Their success feels like your failure. Their opportunities feel like evidence that life has overlooked you. But when your attention returns to your own path, resentment loses its fuel. You realize that someone else's progress does not diminish your potential. The world is not a single lane where only one person can move forward. Your responsibility is not to outrun everyone else. Your responsibility is to become the best version of yourself. Growth becomes remarkable when consistency replaces intensity. Many people work hard for a few days and then lose momentum. They wait for inspiration before taking action. A focused person learns that discipline is more reliable than inspiration. They continue even when excitement fades. They continue when results are slow. They continue when nobody is encouraging them. Over time, consistency creates outcomes that occasional bursts of effort can never produce. Focusing on yourself also changes the way you respond to criticism. Constructive criticism becomes useful because it helps you improve. Destructive criticism loses much of its power because your identity is no longer dependent upon universal approval. You become less reactive and more intentional. Instead of defending yourself against every negative comment, you invest that energy into becoming better. Improvement becomes your response. As you continue focusing on yourself, your standards begin to rise. You become more careful about the company you keep, the conversations you entertain, and the habits you practice. You recognize that everything you repeatedly expose yourself to is shaping your character. Excellence requires environments that support growth rather than environments that constantly pull you backward. One day, people may notice the changes in your life and call it sudden success. They will see the confidence, the peace, the opportunities, and the progress. What they will not see are the countless moments when you chose growth over distraction, discipline over comfort, and self-development over comparison. They will not see the evenings spent learning, the mornings spent improving, or the silent decisions that gradually transformed your future. The most important relationship you will ever build is the relationship with the person you become. Every choice either strengthens that person or weakens. Every habit either prepares you for greater responsibility or keeps you trapped in old patterns. When you focus on yourself, you stop waiting for life to change before you change. You begin becoming the kind of person capable of handling the opportunities you are praying for. You discover that the real competition was never with other people at all. It was with the distracted, fearful, approval-seeking version of yourself that kept standing between you and the life you were meant to create. And every day you choose focus over comparison, discipline over distraction, growth over approval, something. You move farther away from that old version and closer to the person your future has been waiting for. Every meaningful vision begins quietly. Before it becomes visible to the world, it exists only within your mind and heart. It is fragile in its earliest stages, not because it lacks potential, but because it has not yet developed the strength to withstand unnecessary criticism, doubt, and distraction. This is why protecting your vision is one of the greatest acts of wisdom you can practice. Not everything you are building needs to be announced. Not every dream needs an audience. Some of the most extraordinary achievements in history were shaped in seasons of obscurity long before anyone recognized their value. There is a temptation to share every new idea the moment it appears. The excitement of possibility makes you want others to celebrate with you. You seek encouragement, validation, and confirmation that your dream is worth pursuing. While encouragement has its place, relying on it too early can become dangerous. The opinions of others are often limited by their own experiences, fears, and expectations. Someone who has never imagined your destination may unintentionally discourage the very journey that could transform your life. Their limitations are not your limits, yet if you expose your vision too soon, you may begin believing their doubts instead of your own conviction. A seed does not become a tree overnight. It spends a long period hidden beneath the soil, developing roots that no one can see. During that unseen season, nothing appears impressive from the outside. Anyone passing by might assume that nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, the foundation for future growth is being established. Your vision follows the same pattern. The invisible work is never wasted. Every quiet day spent learning, practicing, planning, and refining is strengthening the roots that will eventually support visible success. Many people mistake movement for progress. They become busy discussing ideas instead of building them. They enjoy the feeling of talking about future accomplishments more than the discipline required to create them. Speaking about success can provide temporary satisfaction, but satisfaction received too early often weakens motivation. There is a difference between celebrating completed work and replacing completed work with conversation. The strongest plans are usually protected until consistent action has made them difficult to stop. Privacy is often misunderstood as secrecy born from fear. In reality, healthy privacy is an expression of wisdom. It recognizes that every stage of development requires a different environment. A craftsman does not unveil unfinished work before every detail has been carefully shaped. An architect completes careful calculations before construction begins. Likewise, your goals deserve the patience of preparation before they are exposed to public evaluation. Protecting your vision also requires protecting your attention. Every opinion you absorb influences your thinking. Every unnecessary debate competes with your focus. Every distraction delays your progress by pulling your mind away from what truly matters. Attention is one of your most valuable resources because whatever consistently occupies your thoughts eventually shapes your actions. If your attention belongs to distractions, your future will reflect distraction. If your attention belongs to disciplined growth, your future will reflect disciplined growth. There will always be people who misunderstand your quiet season. Some will wonder why you have become less available. Others may interpret your silence as distance or indifference. A few may assume that nothing significant is happening because they cannot see immediate results. Allow them to believe what they choose. Your responsibility is not to satisfy curiosity. Your responsibility is to remain faithful to the work placed before you. Those who constantly interrupt their progress to explain themselves rarely move as far as those who quietly continue building. Patience becomes one of your greatest allies while protecting your vision. Modern culture encourages immediate results and instant recognition, but meaningful accomplishments rarely follow that schedule. Excellence develops gradually. Character strengthens through repeated choices. Skill grows through persistent practice. There are lessons that cannot be rushed because they become part of the foundation supporting future responsibility. Every delayed reward teaches endurance, and endurance prepares you for opportunities that would overwhelm an impatient person. something. Guarding your vision also means becoming selective about whose advice you receive. Not every voice deserves equal influence in your life. Wisdom listens carefully but chooses carefully. Seek guidance from people whose lives demonstrate integrity, discipline, and experience rather than those who simply offer loud opinions. A single wise conversation can redirect years of effort, while repeated exposure to careless advice can slowly weaken confidence and clarity. There are moments when progress feels invisible. You work diligently, yet the results seem delayed. During those seasons, the temptation to abandon your vision becomes strong. Doubt whispers that your efforts are unnoticed and your sacrifices unnecessary. Yet invisible progress is still progress. The roots beneath the soil continue expanding long before the first branch reaches toward the sky. What appears to be stillness is often preparation for sudden growth. The person who remains committed during unseen seasons eventually experiences breakthroughs that seem unexpected to everyone except the one who patiently continued working. Your habits become the guardians of your vision. Dreams without disciplined routines eventually fade into wishful thinking. Every morning you choose purpose over procrastination. Every evening you choose learning over distraction. Every decision to remain consistent instead of comfortable becomes another layer of protection around the future you are creating. Discipline quietly accomplishes what excitement alone never can. As your vision matures, confidence begins replacing uncertainty. Not because every obstacle has disappeared, but because consistent effort has produced undeniable evidence that progress is possible. You stop depending upon motivation because your routines carry you forward. You stop seeking constant reassurance because experience has taught you the value of patient persistence. Your identity slowly shifts from someone hoping for change to someone actively creating it through faithful daily action. Eventually, there comes a time when your work speaks more clearly than your announcements ever could. Results introduce you without lengthy explanations. The quiet months of preparation become visible through excellence that cannot be ignored. People often admire the finished achievement while remaining unaware of the countless unseen hours, difficult choices, patient sacrifices, disciplined routines, silent corrections, private failures, and unwavering commitment that shaped every part of it. Because the strongest visions are not built through constant attention, but through steady dedication, protected from unnecessary noise until they become too firmly established to be shaken, too deeply rooted to be uprooted, and too evident to require anyone's permission or approval. The greatest victories in life are rarely won in public. They are first won within the private battles of the mind. Before you can master your circumstances, you must learn to master yourself. Many people spend years trying to control people, opportunities, and outcomes while neglecting the one thing completely within their reach: their own thoughts, emotions, habits, and decisions. Yet your inner world eventually becomes your outer world. The quality of your thinking shapes the quality of your actions, and your actions gradually shape the direction of your life. Every challenge you face presents two battles at the same time. One exists outside of you, and the other exists within you. The external battle may involve financial pressure, disappointment, criticism, uncertainty, or unexpected setbacks. The internal battle involves fear, doubt, impatience, anger, pride, and discouragement. The external battle often seems larger because it is visible, but the internal battle determines how you respond to everything else. Two people can face the same difficulty and experience completely different outcomes because one has learned to govern their mind while the other allows emotions to govern them. The mind is like a garden. If it is left unattended, weeds will naturally appear. Fear grows where courage is not cultivated. Negativity spreads where gratitude is neglected. Anxiety becomes stronger where peace is never practiced. Every day you are planting something through your thoughts, your conversations, your reading, and the influences you allow into your life. Whether you realize it or not, your future is growing from the seeds you consistently plant in your mind. Mastering your mind begins with becoming aware of what occupies it. Many people spend hours consuming information that weakens their focus without realizing its effect. Constant comparison, endless complaints, unnecessary conflict, something. And endless distractions slowly shape a mindset that expects confusion rather than clarity. Your attention is one of your greatest assets because whatever repeatedly captures it eventually influences your beliefs. Protecting your thoughts is not about ignoring reality. Something. It is about refusing to allow negativity to become your permanent perspective. One of the clearest signs of mental strength is the ability to pause before reacting. Life will always present situations that test your patience. Someone may misunderstand your intentions. Something. Another person may criticize your efforts. Unexpected obstacles may interrupt carefully planned goals. In those moments, your first emotional response is not always your wisest response. A calm mind creates space between emotion and action. Within that space lives wisdom, self-control, and discernment. Those who master this pause often avoid mistakes that others spend years trying to repair. Patience is not passive waiting. It is disciplined confidence during seasons when immediate results are absent. Many people abandon meaningful goals simply because progress feels slower than expected. They mistake delay for failure. Yet almost everything valuable requires time. Strong character is not developed overnight. Deep wisdom is not gained in a single conversation. Exceptional skill is not created through occasional effort. The person who remains faithful to consistent improvement eventually reaches places that impatient people never experience. Your habits quietly reveal who is truly in control of your life. Motivation may inspire you to begin, but habits determine whether you continue. Every repeated decision strengthens a particular direction. Choosing discipline repeatedly makes discipline easier. Choosing comfort repeatedly makes comfort more difficult to resist. Over time, these daily choices become automatic, and your character becomes the natural expression of what you have practiced most often. Mastering your circumstances does not mean eliminating every obstacle. Difficult seasons will continue to appear. Unexpected disappointments will still arrive. There will be moments when carefully prepared plans change without warning. The difference is that a disciplined mind refuses to allow temporary circumstances to define permanent identity. You begin seeing obstacles as teachers instead of enemies. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to develop patience, wisdom, resilience, or humility. The difficulty itself may remain, but your relationship with difficulty changes completely. There is remarkable strength in emotional restraint. Many people believe freedom means expressing every feeling the moment it appears. Yet genuine freedom is the ability to choose which emotions deserve action and which emotions deserve silence. Anger may ask you to speak immediately. Pride may ask you to defend yourself unnecessarily. Fear may ask you to surrender before the battle has truly begun. Wisdom quietly asks you to wait, observe something, and choose your response carefully rather than becoming a prisoner of impulse. Confidence also changes when your mind becomes disciplined. Instead of depending on praise from others, confidence begins resting upon preparation. You know the effort you have invested. You remember the lessons learned through failure. You trust your ability to remain steady because you have repeatedly practiced remaining steady. This kind of confidence cannot easily be shaken because it was built through experience rather than compliments. Your environment also shapes your thinking more than you may realize. The conversations you entertain, the books you read, the people you admire, and the voices you repeatedly listen to gradually influence the beliefs you hold about yourself and your future. If you consistently surround yourself with negativity, limitation eventually feels normal. If you consistently seek wisdom, growth gradually becomes your natural direction. Protecting your mind sometimes requires changing your environment before your environment changes you. As your inner discipline increases, your decisions become clearer. You stop chasing every opportunity simply because it appears attractive. You become more selective with your time, your attention, and your relationships. You recognize that every unnecessary commitment takes energy away from your highest priorities. Clarity allows you to say no without guilt because you understand that every meaningful purpose requires focused attention rather than scattered effort. Eventually, people begin noticing changes that seem invisible to them but obvious to you. something. They see greater calm where anxiety once existed. They notice wisdom where impulsiveness once ruled. They recognize confidence where insecurity once demanded approval. Something. What they are witnessing is not luck or sudden transformation, but the quiet result of countless unseen moments when you chose discipline over comfort, patience over haste, reflection over reaction, learning over pride, and purpose over distraction. Because every thought you guided, instead of allowing it to guide you, became another victory. Every emotion you mastered, instead of obeying, became another layer of strength. Every wise decision repeated became another stone in the foundation of a life that could no longer be controlled by changing circumstances, but was steadily directed by an unshakable mind and a deeply rooted character